Hey, it's Evan. Welcome back to another episode of the Mindful 8 podcast and a light journalism episode. This is episode 152. And in today's episode, we're going to talk about, well, what our previous episode was about, and that is the Golden Dome and a continuity of government program that seems to be being prepared in the United States of America. Now, I've been studying and researching this for, I'd say, just around over a year now, and this episode in particular is special because it takes place in, well, Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love and sisterly affection. And that sisterly affection is sometimes left out. But today's episode is going to be brief because, number one, I really wanted to get back talking to the camera again, documenting my life, which I've done for countless years, several years now. But this episode is special because the Golden Dome that the current administration seems to be rolling out in quite a big force is starting in Philadelphia, the birthplace of the country. And that is where the headquarters are going to be, right in the Philly shipyard. Now, what's really special about this, and this will probably be maybe part one, part two. I want to do more research on it, but this is rather an introduction into where we're going, not only as a country, but the entire world as a whole. The Golden Dome is going to be set up as a intercontinental ballistic missile defense system, right? There's a lot of videos already on it, and there's actually an advertisement video about this Golden Dome, which seems to be like a checkerboard defense grid. But what people should know is that this is a UFO defense grid. As we've seen now for just over 2 years since the New Jersey drone swarm phenomenon, which again, we still don't have any explanation on what that is. Northcom, Northern Command, who oversees all of what's going on in the sky, has no idea what it is. The administration said it was nothing to worry about. But in reality, it was just a data mining operation to see how the public would react to a sky event. So here we are. It's 2026, and this is also an episode where I want to reflect on how it feels to be a young 20-year-old, 24 years young, to be experiencing all of this geopolitical change. And it seems that the older generations, our parents and our grandparents, don't really seem to be understanding what's going on. And of course, everybody's perspective is going to be a little bit different, but for me in particular, it's peculiar because I've done all this research and all this journalistic work to understand what actually is going on with UFOs, UAPs, and developing new psychic abilities, and just giving my perspective to the world and then seeing how they react. This has been one of the most peculiar periods of time in my entire life. Nothing seems the same. And one thing in particular that really has stood out to me is that the world that I was born into and that you may have been born into, it no longer exists. Remember, we have technology that can manipulate time and space. We're building a Golden Dome, a UFO defense grid that is being headquartered in the Philadelphia shipyard, the same shipyard where the mystical Philadelphia experiment took place. And remember, that experiment took place 10 months after John Trump went in and gathered all of Nikola Tesla's papers. That Philadelphia experiment, which still is it real? Did it happen? Et cetera, we don't know. But we do know that if it did happen, it was 10 months after those files, those Tesla files, were confiscated by John Trump, Donald Trump's uncle, who was in the FBI at the time, and he was tasked with confiscating all of Tesla's papers. And that's a whole rabbit hole in and of itself. But remember, Einstein at the time was studying the unified field, and if the Golden Dome is being headquartered in the Philadelphia shipyard, the same place where the Philadelphia experiment took place, does this justify the whole unified field concept? Now, there's the journalistic work, which is the UFO phenomenon, all this weird, esoteric, mystery school stuff that I'm very passionate about. But then there's also the understanding of what's actually going on in our reality with this defense grid. And all signs are pointing towards the unified field, because the unified field is what I'm actually keen on, like studying. Like I would go back to university to study the unified field and unified physics, because a lot of what's coming out right now is plasma, 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 plasma. 99.9%, 99% of the universe is plasma. It's all fluid, spontaneous. That's what this reality is. And we were never taught that. Never taught that in university, never taught that in high school and grade school, ever. So we have physics, our understanding of physics, but if we're setting up a Golden Dome in the same place where the Philadelphia experiment is, zapping ships out of nowhere, that green mystical phase of just zaps a ship and boom, now it's in a different place, that was all backed by unified physics and the unified field and the idea of the unified field. So now that justifies the unified field being an actual thing. And well, I've done all the research, created a class for kids, frequency for kids, all about the unified field, teaching kids about the unified field and sacred geometry. So it's all starting to add up that the unified field is the fabric of reality, and this is a plasma universe. We are living in the plasmoverse. And that's why I always say we're healing the Earth grid, which is a 64 tetrahedron, and we're healing the grid through subliminal absorption of sacred geometry. This is the plasmoverse. And that goes into the plasma universe hypothesis. So all these things are starting to add up, but this whole concept of a Golden Dome is, I have to confirm the stats on this, and I didn't really prepare this video. I felt spontaneous to speak to the camera, but this was tasked at, I think, over $1 trillion. It was originally like just over 100 billion. And now it went up and went up, went up. And now it's over $1 trillion to create. And it's starting in the Philadelphia shipyard. The Hanwha Group, which is a South Korean aerospace company that's tasked with creating the headquarters in the Philadelphia shipyard for the Golden Dome and this big ship, because Hanwha Group is a global shipbuilding company, aerospace company, aerospace, here we go again, and they are the ones who are creating the headquarters in the Philadelphia shipyard. What is this technology that they're creating? That will be created for a UFO defense grid. But here's the thing, here's the intention of why I wanted to really record this video today. To justify over $1 trillion in creating a Golden Dome, a UFO defense grid, let's not get it twisted, that's exactly what it is. You have to create a sky event, a big emergency power event to justify tax-paying dollars going towards the Golden Dome. You have to justify it. That's why we have the New Jersey drone swarm phenomenon, the data mining operation, all of that led towards this, that what is being set up. Now, in September of 2026, we celebrate what? 25 years since the 9/11 happening, the 9/11 attacks. We still don't know what really went down there. We don't. And alternative researchers would say the same, you know? So are we being set up for another emergency power event? Continuity of government? Remember, the continuity of government program was created after 9/11. Patriot Act and Northcom and COG. COG is, if there were some form of emergency power event like a 9/11 or a pandemic. January 6th, continuity of government was also activated. It means that all the power goes towards NORTHCOM, Northern Command, and NORAD, where the military comes in and they oversee this emergency power event. So what are we being set up for here? Some form of alien sky event, big thing happening. We already have a Golden Defender. That's the ship that Hanwha Group, this South Korean aerospace company, is creating. What if there was some form of UFO sky event? We need to justify spending over $1 trillion for a UFO defense grid, Golden Dome program. We need to justify that by having some form of attack. We had 9/11, Patriot Act, continuity of government, NORTHCOM. All of that was set up after that deep event. We call it a deep event, where this one group, this sinister force, comes in, shakes up reality, and then retreats. And then we're left to kind of put the pieces together. And awareness and pattern recognition is how we harmonically and recursively enter out of this peculiar event that's being set up. The data mining happened. You got all the podcasters talking about UFOs, UAPs, completely unaware that NORTHCOM and continuity of government emergency powers exists, where Trump will not have any power if you have to sign off every single year that if something like this would happen, NORAD, NORTHCOM, and the emergency power continuity of government program would come in and they would oversee the entire event. And so 25 years later, after 9/11, which we still don't know what actually happened, we have another opportunity for the deep state to come and do a deep event. So keep this in mind when all these things are rolling out, and it's like, do we want this to happen? I think I'm really going to be keen on this going forward, especially because my last episode, which was 2 months ago, and the one before that was quite some time before. But the last one was literally UFOs, Sky Event, Golden Dome, and the Future of Humanity. And in those 2 months, look how much has happened in regards to the Golden Dome. Now, as you may know, because this is my personal digital brand, and I'm documenting my entire life, I no longer am in the United States of America. But that is still the country I was born in, and the people have to know what's actually going on in the country. There's the UFO file, which goes into JFK and all this phenomenon regarding UFOs and otherworldly beings. The Trump administration is trying to get that back under executive command. It's not under their control. That's where you have the agencies coming in, like the CIA. But this is really important to keep in mind because this is being rolled out. This is literally fighting to get that UFO file under executive command. The Golden Dome is being set up, and it's over $1 trillion. I have to get the actual numbers on this for this part 2, where I actually have like specific evidence. This is more so like a little bit of a rant. The Golden Defender is being set up in the Philly shipyard, the same shipyard where the Philadelphia experiment supposedly happened. And the Philadelphia experiment was all backed by Einstein's unified field and unified physics research. So that justifies the unified field, all of us being connected through this 64 tetrahedron grid. We're all one, right? That is justified now if this is being set up in the exact same place where the Philadelphia experiment happened. So keep this in mind as we go forward with the Golden Dome. The South Korean Hanwha Group, an aerospace company, is building the headquarters of the Golden Dome in Philadelphia. The city of brotherly love and sisterly affection, my beloved Philadelphia. Now the next phase of humanity, as per last episode, the future of humanity, is now taking place in the city I grew up in. So welcome to sci-fi world, where we have technology that can manipulate time and space, technology backed by the unified field, because that's the fabric of reality. Here we are, here we go. Remember, when these events unfold, awareness is what helps us to recursively and harmonically enter out of this weird paradigm that we're in, so that we can go on living in harmony with nature, where we can have cold fusion, low energy nuclear reaction, 0 point energy, where we can actually have energy that does not harm the environment, and where we can continue to co-create a reality that allows us to live a better future for our children. Because the Golden Dome is set to be in North America, but then you also have AmeriCon, which is another article that I have to cite, where it's not only NorthCom and SouthCom, but now you have AmeriCom, where the Golden Dome is not only the northern hemisphere of America, but also South America. That's why you have Venezuela. That's why you always have this tension with Cuba. That's why you have all these earthquakes happening, so that we can have this big Golden Dome UFO defense grid all over the Western Hemisphere. Feels good talking to the camera. I'm going to be doing it more often because I have a lot to talk about. And I love you dearly. Thank you for following me on this journey. It's an absolute honor for you to take time out of your day to listen to me, to know more about what's going on in our reality, and that you trust me to help you better understand the fabric of reality. Because that's what I've dedicated my entire life to the past couple of years. It's been a peculiar journey. It really has, but one that's been very fulfilling because I've allowed myself to be the most authentic version of myself, which is terrifying, but it's also liberating. And awareness is what fluctuates up and down. All is consciousness, and your awareness, your frequency matters most in this time. So let's live a frequency of unconditional love, and let's raise our frequency so we can vibrate that sinister force out of existence that no longer belongs here. We're meant to live in harmony with nature. We're meant to build some incredible, amazing things and not live in fear, not live in scarcity. That's why 0 point energy and silver and all this fun stuff is going to start being rolled out because the unified field is now justified and we have the Golden Dome. But remember, this is a UFO defense grid. So I'm going to keep you up to date with all the things happening with the UFO defense grid that is the Golden Dome and the Golden Defender, and Hanwha Group, looking into Hanwha Group, the South Korean aerospace company that has been awarded $2 billion to build a missile tracking vessel that will be stationed out of the Philadelphia shipyard, the same shipyard where the Philadelphia experiment supposedly happened, where we had a ship poof out of thin air. Yeah. Again, I love you. I love you. I love you. Thank you for following me on this journey, and we'll see you in the next one.